Italian herbs, and smoked paprika really changes the way things taste.
How do you build one? What's on the Norman? Build it from the bottom up.
We have some mayonnaise, and we have a brioche bun. We have some really nice green lettuce, and we have some the Impossible meat and tomatoes, and some Gouda cheese, and these wonderful sidewinder fries that you can't get anywhere else.
Those look really cool. Tell me about this place, though. This whole Foodworks place, relatively new, but man, there's a buzz around it. People are talking about it. How cool is this area?
Oh man, this place is super cool. I mean, you can go walk your dog, you can go throw axes, you can go get a beer at Scoffler's. We got Thai food.
You should do that probably before the beer. That's probably a good idea.
Yeah. And then we have Thai food here, we have pizza, we have sushi, and we have breakfast. So man, you just gotta come here.
Well, you know what? It's come to that time. It's time to give this a try, I think. And really, I got to be honest with you, Marcus. I'm not sure that I'm qualified to really give this whether it gets a thumbs up or not. I'm not sure, but I know someone who is.
Okay.
She's normally behind the camera, but this was kind of a role reversal.
Okay.
I'm gonna have Michelle. Michelle is a Burgers with Buck veteran.
Okay.
She's seen me eat a lot of burgers.
Well, come on
but I think
down.
Michelle's gonna give this one a try for us because she's a pro. I'm gonna give this to you, Marcus. Here you go.
Michelle,
Come on, Michelle.
come on down.
You take my job, I'll take your job.
We'll give it a shot.
All right, here we go. Let me adjust this side piece. All right.
Oh my gosh.
Give her a play-by-play there, Marcus.
All right, now you got the brioche bun, you got the lettuce and tomato Impossible. All right, get in it.
Big bite, big bite.
Big bite.
All right, let's wait and see
Look at
the
that.
suspense. There's some napkins there, Michelle.
There's some napkins right there for you, love. What
Here
you
we go.
think?
What's it gonna be? There it is, Marcus.
I got the thumbs up.
Congratulations. What do you think, Michelle? All right.
Try fry.
Our new segment, Burgers with Michelle. I love it. That's a wrap. And thanks to Michelle for being such a good sport. And thank you for watching Burgers with Buck Second Helping as we look back on some of our great burger memories through the years. If you've got a favorite you'd like to see featured, just let us know. You can follow us on Instagram at Burgers with Buck. And don't forget to watch Burgers with Buck Friday mornings at 8:20 on Good Day Atlanta. And until next time.
Well, welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with us on your Sunday morning. We have a lot of stories to get to, and one of the first things we're tracking is we have passed the Real ID deadline that was May 7th. And now scammers may be trying to get your personal information if you haven't yet gotten a Real ID. So our Caitlin Pratt is at Atlanta's airport giving us a look at travel and letting us know what to expect. And Caitlin, as you're tracking the latest with scams, you also just found out from the airport, if you don't have a Real ID, you don't have to panic just yet if you're going through that security line.
100% correct. Good morning to you, Ariel. That's right. So this went into effect this past Wednesday. So this is the first weekend test for employees here at Atlanta's airport, the busiest airport, as we know. In the camera, and you can see here traffic starting to pick up. It, of course, being Mother's Day, Sunday, and the weekend. Sunday is always having a higher volume of traffic as people hit the skies. This time around, this weekend, people are encountering a new alert. Hey, you need your Real ID, and usually here at the main checkpoint, you have to go ahead and get rid of all your liquids, things like that of that nature. This time you're getting reminders in the form of pamphlets here at the gate entrance. Say, hey, do you have your Real ID? So cyber criminals, scammers are capitalizing on the rush, on this new normal, this new deadline, and possibly confusion too around the Real ID. They've launched scams posing as government agencies like maybe the DMV or the TSA, reaching out via text, email, social media, things of the like, trying to trick people into giving up sensitive information. We caught up with a security expert on what you can do to protect that vital information.
Obviously the urgency, right? You have to renew now. You have to, take advantage of this. They may even throw some false issues with it. So like if you don't renew, you're never going to be able to fly, or you're going to get put on the do not flies list. So they're going to throw some of those kind of things into these messages so that you freak out, and you want, get you to take action immediately on and clicking on their link. So they're going to throw in that kind of language in there. It's similar with the toll road scams that have been going on. They'll say you're going to lose your license. You're going to have to pay $150 fine. Even this, they'll probably throw some kind of fine language in there. Is that, hey, if you don't renew by today, you're going to get a $150 fine assessed to you. So they'll throw those kind of languages in there. So anything that tries to really take advantage of this situation, get you to try to click on a link because there's penalties. That kind of language, you want to be, it's a big red flag.
Yes, and maybe you actually already have a Real ID, right? To take a look at your government ID. If there's a star in the top right corner of your license, you are good to go. But if you don't have one, you're definitely going to want to obtain a Real ID. You can go to the DMV in person. You can get the process started on the DMV's website here in Georgia. Again, if you are asked to provide additional information like any bank account information or credit card numbers by clicking a link, this is definitely a red flag, a total scam. And just a reminder, if you haven't yet transitioned to have that Real ID, you are still able to fly. You have your passport, you're good to go. You have your military ID, you are good to go. And even if you just have your traditional driver's license that you haven't updated just yet, TSA agents will take you aside, ask you a couple of questions. You'll still be able to make it through security, get onto the plane train, make it to your terminal, get on your domestic flight. So just allow for a little bit more time if that is the case, because of course it's not going to be as speedy as you're used to getting through security. Ariel?
Oh, Caitlin, thank you. And we were talking about this just a little bit before, but it only costs $32 to get a new ID here in the state of Georgia, and also $32 if you are getting that Real ID. So there's no change in costs if you're going between the two. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. If you haven't yet upgraded, you will pay $32. And that, of course, is according to the Georgia Department of Motor Vehicles website. Okay, you guys, it is about 11:04 on your Sunday morning, a Mother's Day Sunday, and our very own Eli Jordan is out at Chastain Park giving us a look at a festival underway. It's just opened at 11 a.m. Eli, you're looking comfortable there.
Oh yeah, I found some art you can use out here. This is DB Enterprises. That these are kind of like Adirondack chairs. I just bought a house and I got a yard and I need some chairs. So I'm thinking I might have to get a few of these. But check it out. This is DB Enterprises just north of Gainesville here in Georgia. They're out here at the 17th annual Chastain Park Festival. They got about 175 different vendors here. But I'm going to talk to David over here of DB Enterprises. David, how are you doing today?
Doing okay today, yeah.
And so tell me, do you hand make these
I
items?
hand make everything I sell.
So what type of things do you have here?
We make 7 different items. We start with the basic slingback chair. We go all the way up to the double wooden glider.
You got a little love seat glider there, huh?
Right. And we do both the single and the double and the gliders. We do the director's chairs, which are the tall type chairs. A lot of people use those on a balcony so they can see over the rail.
So you guys don't have a storefront. You guys hit the festivals, right?
We do cut back now, but we used to do about 35 festivals a year all up and down the East Coast. And,
How many years have you been doing this?
32 years.
32 years. That's Ariel, that's longer than I have been a photographer in television. David, thank you very much.
Oh, no problem.
And so, but we're going to go check out some of these other booths that we have around here. So check out this. We got some really bright art here. I like this little circle strings and stuff. I like all the colors here. And so, it just opened up at 11 o'clock. People got out of here, and today's a much better day than yesterday started. Yesterday we had the high winds, we had the rain, but today it's trying to dry off here. Ooh, look at this. We have horseshoe art. That's pretty cool. I haven't seen that. They just opened this up. Let's check out this horse made of horseshoes.
How
That's
meta.
really cool there. I don't think I can fit that in my trunk though right now. So he'll deliver it for you, he says. So, and this is we got the lucky dogs here. This is really cool. I like this. This is good, nice bright colors of the doggies, and they even have a cat.
Aww.
And they're going to expand more of the cats. I asked about that. And so, and then we got more here. Here's some things, and this is one of my favorites. This is Todd Fife's booth over here. He's I call this surrealism, and it is surrealism. I got to be careful about some of the things I show here because he gets way out there, but I like it a lot. I've always enjoyed surrealistic art and stuff, and but this is really, really cool. This is a little bit different than what you see at a lot of the other booths. Just all sorts of crazy stuff. This is Todd Fife. He's from Bowling Green, Kentucky, down here.
Okay.
And he said the weather impacted him yesterday, and he's hoping to make up for it. And we got some clothes, and Sarah Ender has I like the blues here. This is beautiful abstract works here, and then here's some textured art, and this is beautiful work here too. So you can find all sorts of stuff. If you need that last minute Mother's Day item, maybe come down here perhaps. Check it out. This is Chastain Park 17th annual art festival going on. This is really cool too. I like these ceramics.
Yeah,
They light
wow.
up there. This is really cool here.
Eli, I'm just impressed
know,
by the
isn't it cool?
variety of art.
And you got, oh yeah, there's all sorts of different stuff down here. All sorts of different stuff. More like this is texture 3D art here. And so, yeah, it's just all sorts of good stuff here. We got some like landscapes and trees during the fall, and we got some more wood art going on here. How's it going, guys? Doing great, doing great. This is beautiful, like, this is watercolor?
Batik.
Pardon?
Batik.
Batik. And so, it's on cloth. This is art on cloth. So, I mean, you can find all sorts of good quality art items here. There's the woods right there. But, and so you got food trucks out here. Come out, check out the food trucks. Fill up your belly. Pull out your wallet. Buy your mama an item. And hang out and enjoy the dry, cool weather that we have going on right now before the mean, evil storms come.
Eli, thank you. This is great. I love that people are able to get out there and enjoy it without the rain, although you were talking to some vendors earlier this morning, and it sounded like the rain didn't affect things as much yesterday as one might have expected. I was surprised by that, but it sounds like some people said the rain kept people were still out shopping. Other people, though, other vendors I know say the rain did affect them.
I think mainly they were having to protect their art is what the biggest pain in the rear was. I mean, when you have this, it's starting to rain. You have people that have their rain, rain jackets on and all that. But
Sure.
when you have the wind blowing, the vendors are having to, lower their curtains down and protect their art. And I think that was probably the most frustrating part of the day, is having to protect the artworks and stuff like that. But
yeah.
today, it's a great day so far. You see people are out. The golf carts are running, dogs are walking, and the strollers are rolling. So come on out, Chastain Park Art Festival here in Buckhead.
Awesome.
And, see what you can find. Maybe
I
you'll
love
find
it.
something for your mama.
Eli, thank you. Yeah, festival open
look at
right
this.
now and until 5 tonight.
Oh yeah, we got
Oh yeah, you have one more
Yep.
to show me?
all sorts of stuff. Oh
Okay.
well, no, I'm just in awe with all of it. I'm just talking all over you. That's all.
I love it. Eli, thank you. No, this is great. I love getting a look at everything there. It's like a sneak peek. That way, if I head out later, I know what to expect. So, Eli, thank you. Well, let's bring it back here in studio. We are going to check in with our meteorologist, Alex Forbes, in just a little bit, because one of the things we want to take a look at is how the weather is going to affect Chastain Park Fest if you are headed out later today, or if you've got other outdoor plans, maybe say for Mother's Day on this Sunday. So, Alex, what can we expect?
Yeah, no pressure, right? Well, I tell you what, it did not get started on a good note here in North and Central Georgia, Mother's Day, that is. And it's not going to finish on a good note either. Thank you, Mother Nature, on this Mother's Day. All right, here we are on the top end of the perimeter. So here's a change. We're in Sandy Springs. This camera is in Sandy Springs. I think we can see Dunwoody now. We were not able to see it all morning. It was just on the other side there at the State Farm building. And the fog in many spots has lifted, but we still have the low cloud cover very much in place. And that is the trend through the day today. Cloudy, damp, and breezy on this Mother's Day. It's more like a early March day than a mid-May day. Here we go with Fox 5 Live Vipers. Some scattered steady rain right now. A couple sprinkles, maybe even just steady raindrops into parts of Greene County over towards Morgan County, Taliaferro County, and that gets back out towards the Augusta area. Also out near the Alabama state line. We saw what looked like a storm in northern Chambers County. It didn't have any lightning with it, so I guess just a batch of heavy rain. That's now moving into Wedowee as we speak, moving up towards Interstate 20. Also looking at a pretty good shower between Carrollton and really the Tallapoosa area right there before you cross into Alabama on Interstate 20. That's going to slide up into Haralson County and Buchanan here in the next little bit. Temperatures, look, it's a cool morning, cool almost afternoon. 61 here in the city, 59 still in Carrollton, 61 at noon. I've been talking about it all morning. This northeasterly breeze is our best friend today, because if we did not have that, we would be looking at a strong storm risk across the state. And they are down to the south, but not so much here in metro Atlanta. So here are your rain chances now. This is the downside to the northeasterly breeze. We are going to be looking at cloudy skies when it's not raining, but I do expect to see a decent amount of that rain later on this evening. Okay, this is the Fox model. This is a little different from what I showed you earlier here on Fox Local, but similar thinking into the afternoon. You see this batch of storms really down to the south lifts up into metro Atlanta. Just heavy rain by the time we get to 6 p.m. and then it keeps some scattered showers around through the overnight. But then notice by tomorrow morning, the Fox model is also on board with firing up some storms in and around parts of North Georgia. Those are going to have a severe weather risk with them. And then once we get into the afternoon, these storms you see here would have a severe weather risk as well. Here it is broken down into the two separate categories. The morning threat, 3 to 11 a.m. Top of the list is going to be the potential for a brief spit up nocturnal tornado, especially in west central Georgia. That means a tornado could happen before you wake up. So it's important to make sure you have a way to receive alerts through the overnight hours. Also watching a damaging wind and large hail threat. Then for the afternoon and evening, 4 to 11 p.m., I would reorder them in this way: damaging wind, large hail, and then a low end spin up tornado threat. So that's not zero for the afternoon, right? There's a world where we see maybe one spin up tornado in the afternoon and none in the morning. There's also a world where we don't see any of this, right? The ingredients, they're going to be around, but we need them to line up perfectly in order for this to happen. And if anything's off by just a little bit, then we would, and we'd be glad about this, we would toss the severe weather threat out the window. All in all, 90% chance of storms tomorrow. That's down to 60% on Tuesday, down to 20% by the time we get to Wednesday. And then Ariel, flipping the script, I think is putting it mildly. We're going to go from 50s yesterday afternoon to 90s in some spots by the time we get to Friday afternoon.
Oh man, crazy. I would expect nothing less from Georgia, but it's definitely a good reminder that while I may have felt a little cold this morning and yesterday, I'm going to do what I can to savor it because it's not going to last.
We'll talk on Friday. See what you think about it.
Yep. Sounds great. All right, you guys, it is time to take a quick 2-minute break. And when we return, we're going to check in with I-Team reporter Dana Fowl. She and I caught up about how to talk to your kids about the economy. Her daughter came to her with a question and it sparked kind of the wheels in motion. Also, a lot of your questions. So let's take that break and we'll see you back here in a bit. On Stat here with I-Team investigative reporter Dana Fowl. Dana, lovely to have you here.
I know, thanks for having me.
This is exciting. So you guys, Dana and I are talking about her piece this week and some of the research you've done. And this week you were answering questions and focusing on how to talk about the economy with your kids. Why did you want to have this discussion and focus on this week?
Because it's in the headlines.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I was growing up, when the news was done, they turned off the TV. The newspaper for the day was set aside. So if you didn't want your children or your teens to hear about potentially uncomfortable headlines, you can hide it from them. That is just absolutely impossible today. It is part of their social media channel. They are hearing that CDC had a lot of layoffs. Their friends' parents may have been at the CDC. So they're hearing about this. UPS just announced 20,000 layoffs coming. It's globally, but it trickles down to the Atlanta area, and their friends may be talking about that at school. So they worry about this, and they hear you talk about it too.
Especially, I think, you know, to your point, it used to be we could escape these things, but with social media and the way algorithms work, you may be scrolling something with your friends or looking at fun videos, and other things are going to pop up in there, and it's impossible to avoid. So how do you have these conversations with your kids? Because there is that human element. It's scary to watch mom and dad lose a job, or a friend's parent, and you start to worry that that could happen to you.
I have a 15-year-old, and she just randomly said to me one day, "Are we going to lose our house maybe?" that is a real serious thing that's been weighing on her head, and I don't know where she exactly came up with that. We live in the CDC area, so lots of job loss, so she does think about that.
Yeah.
And so you want to address it.
Yeah.
You can't go, oh no, it's okay. They're smart enough to know something's going on. So you do need to address it. You need to talk to them about it. And one thing I suggest is if they are bouncing off of you being stressed out, say they see it in your face, don't talk to them about it right then. Say, hey, let's set aside a different opportunity to talk about this. That way you can bring your temperature down and it brings their temperature down, and everybody can talk more openly about what is going on with the economy and how that may or may not affect them.
Yeah.
And the conversation needs to be age appropriate.
Sure.
You know, I mean, you don't give them any more than they're asking for.
Right.
And then you can turn these into really positive financial conversations. One of them is, every family should always periodically look at their budget.
Yes.
So this is just another opportunity to take a look at the family budget. I know something we did was, hey, how many streaming services do we have right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they get away from all of us because we get these deals. And I have found at times that I was paying for a service twice through different spaces. This is just a really good time to do that. So I said to the people in my house, tell me what you're really watching for a week or two.
Right.
And we realized there was one of them, no, we didn't even remember we had it. That is a good way to eliminate waste.
And Dana, I think really what it comes down to here, and what, based on what you're saying, is you're trying to take a very variable, heavy situation.
That's right.
And distill it down to what you can control.
That's
Kids cannot control the economy. They cannot control the larger world. They can, however, understand, hey, as your parent, let's look at our finances, and you as a child, I'm going to take care of you. We're going to work through this. Let me give you a sense of empowerment with this knowledge to show you what we are controlling as a family.
Right, because they're not asking you about inflation
They
or
want to know how it affects
what's
them.
happening at the ports, you know, the Savannah port. They're not asking you about that. They're trying to figure out how it's going to impact their lives, as most people do.
Right.
And, you know, this is another really good opportunity to say, you know how mom and dad are always talking about savings, and we've got this emergency fund. This is why we have that emergency fund, just in case the economy has a hiccup, because it always does.
It's funny you say that, because I remember growing up and just like my parents, my dad especially, just being obsessed about the emergency fund.
Right.
And it wasn't until the emergency fund was taken care of that we could do fun things as a family.
Right.
And I had that memory as a child, and it stuck with me. And I think that, you know, there are certain things that, like, as we grow, we think don't matter to young kids or even teens, but based on the question your daughter asked you, it's like they are thinking about this.
Right.
So
That came, I don't even know where that came from. I was just looking at her and said, did you say, are we going to lose our home? We're not losing our home.
Yeah.
You know, the economy is a little, there's a hiccup right now.
Sure.
And we're all trying to figure it out together.
What this means.
Yeah. And, you know, there's another way that you can spend it, particularly if you have younger kids. Maybe you cut out eating out. That is not an unusual thing to sort of cut back on
my
eating.
parents did it all the time.
Yeah. And so Fridays, a lot of time can be pizza night. You go to the neighborhood pizza parlor. Maybe you say, hey, we've got something new for Friday.
Sure.
We're going to have pizza night, but we're making pizza at home, and we're going to eat in front of the TV.
Yeah.
Rule breaking. Sounds fun.
Yeah.
You can put a spin on it.
Sure. I am also curious about, are there other resources out there? You know, I think a big thing is taking stock of what you can control. There's streaming services, subscriptions you're not really using. You start to really think, what can we pare down to and really make the most of what we have? Are there other things that you can do besides budgeting and besides taking stock of what's in control to help set your kids up for success?
Well, I do want to touch on this point. I think alleviating the stress, because you want to take that away from them. And so asking them a direct question like, how are you feeling? Well, if you have teenagers, you know you get nothing out of that. You're getting absolutely nothing out of that.
Yeah.
What you can do is go, hey, what are your friends talking about? Boom, opens it up, changes the conversation.
Yes.
Next thing you know, well, Harper was worried today at lunch. She started to pack because her parents are worried about money. Oh, what kind of worries do they have? And then you start to hear what she and her friends are talking about and what she really is thinking about.
It's genius.
Yes. And you need to encourage them to, hey, if you're feeling weird about this, if you're getting uncomfortable, if things are coming to your head, if you're not sleeping, please come to us.
Yeah.
Talk to a friend, and don't forget the guidance counselor at school.
Sure. important.
Yeah.
Dana, when you start to put these together, you know, I know you do this for Good Day, and we're doing this, of course, streaming right here on Fox Local, YouTube, or a FAST channel, wherever you're streaming with us. First of all, welcome and thanks for being here. But I'm curious, I want to know a little bit about your process as you're putting this together. Where do you get your information, and how do you distill this into what people are actually watching with us now?
From viewers like you. I mean, honestly, we get so many emails. I run into so many viewers in the grocery store and checkout. I cannot tell you that. I mean, every single time I check out at the grocery store, people walk up to me and say, "Have you talked about this? Have you thought about this? Can you help me with this?" That's how we know what people want to talk about.
Right.
And of course, some of it is a little bit of common sense. The economy is the overriding issue right now in a lot of headlines, and so you can't ignore that. And just like in our own lives, my 15-year-old says, "Are we going to lose the house?" If my 15-year-old is thinking that, I think a lot of them are.
And I think it's, you know, so much, it's big words, it's kind of scary, abstract concepts for kids who don't understand it, and giving them that understanding and sense of control to say, this is what this means, this is what we're doing, this is why we have this under control. And if, as a parent, if you don't, right, like if you're watching this and maybe you as a parent are feeling that anxiety or feeling out of control yourself, maybe that's a good chance to take stock and say, what can I do so I feel more secure in my situation?
Right.
So then I can give that peace of mind. Because as you said earlier, kids are smart and they're going to pick up on our energy.
And I have these same feelings about what's going on. There isn't anybody today who's not feeling a little bit antsy about what's happening. And so I take stock. What am I doing? I stop doom scrolling at night. Like, you can't do that. We can't live this way.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to walk.
You do.
You know, you feel, you know, everything's percolating. You're like, you know what? I'm going to grab a dog and I'm going to walk. And it just brings down the temperature. And if you're feeling this stress, the number one thing we have to do is eat right and sleep. Sleep.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics. Sleep deprivation is a form of torture. And there's a reason. You can't function when you're not sleeping. Make sure you get that sleep.
And I, you know, I read this. I'm going to butcher like whoever said it, so I'm not going to try to give the verbatim quote, but I will distill the idea because I think this is important. It's the idea of social media makes us feel very global and very small in the grand scheme of things, which is fine. But the reality is we're living here in the present with our neighborhoods, our communities. And so often when I feel out of control with just things that are happening in the world, I plug it right back into my community, my neighborhood. Let's bring it back smaller. Where am I existing and living in right now? And how can I be good and give back in that situation? And suddenly that control comes back to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right. You can only control this space right now. And if there are things bumping into that are disrupting that balance, you've got to shut them out. And that is social media. That constant this. Stop. I mean,
there's a reason why.
Yeah. And it's habit forming. And, you know, a friend of mine did this, and this really works. She turned her screen into a gray space, took the color out, made it monochromatic. Your brain does not like that.
That's genius.
Yes, I guess dopamine from the colors will trigger the interest, and when you take that color away, she said it cut her scrolling. You
know, I'm not surprised by that because the developers of the software, Meta, Instagram, TikTok, those kind of beginning stages of social media with Facebook, the way that you scroll and then you get the little rainbow wheel, or it would refresh and come back up and make the little dingling as you get fresh content. They actually studied slot machines in Vegas to put that together for social media. So the same way you get a dopamine hit or the rush when you pull the slot machine and the colors go and it spins, the same thing happens when you refresh your social media to get new content. So taking away the color, I would imagine.
And all of that, you know, when you watch someone somebody with an interesting recipe, there's a constant the fire, all these noises that are crunch, pop, snap. That triggers your brain to enjoy that and to not want to stop watching. So maybe cut the volume down and take the color out.
All tips that we can try. Dana, Thank you so much. I know we could talk forever. Is there anything else about discussing the economy with the kids that I did not ask you that you want to share with people today?
I mean, I think one of the things we're starting to see is, and this went into a different topic we covered this week, is the boomerang kid.
Yeah.
With the economy being what it is, some of your older kids, 18 to 35, are now wrapping and coming back into the house because they need to save money. Here's our piece of advice for that. If you've got the older set coming back in, make sure you sit down and lay ground rules.
Boundaries are important.
The boundaries are important because you just let them move in. Nobody knows what they are. There's a lot of ill will. Everybody reverts back to sort of this teenage behavior. Are you paying rent? What is your timeline? Will you be helping with the chores? Actually, you will be helping with the chores.
What does this look like?
Yeah, you need to help with dinner and groceries and make sure this is clear up front.
Dana, thank you. I appreciate you. We're going to see you again here, I'm sure, soon. We're going to be doing this a little bit more often. So, you guys, if you have any questions for Dana, things you want her to look into, of course, you can send us a DM on social media, and I'm sure they can reach you on social media.
You can reach me on social media, or you can just email me.
Perfect. All right, Dana, what's your email?
Dana.Fowl, and that's FOWLE @fox.com.
Perfect.
Just send me a note. Tell me, what's on your mind and what you want to talk about, and a lot of times that's what we talk about.
And maybe you'll have a question and we'll answer it here. We love doing that. So, you guys, thank you so much for streaming with us. I'm Ariel Onstadt, Dana Fowl. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll have more content for you coming up after this. Hey guys, we needed to break in real quick to let you know about a ground stop that was just issued at Atlanta's airport. Now, we're learning that the FAA has issued this due to an equipment outage. So we know this is going to last at least until noon. You're taking a live look at the airport now where flights are halted. We're seeing over 200 delays roughly, and those are expected to grow. We'll continue to update you on this. We're going to check in with our Caitlin Pratt, who is actually at the airport right now, and see if we can get a live look coming up in the next 2 minutes. But again, if you're headed out on this Mother's Day, you have some travel ongoing. A headache is brewing with a ground stop issued until at least noon on this Sunday, May 11th. We'll keep you updated as officials work to correct this equipment outage and what some of the other issues may be. We'll see you back here in just a little bit. Well, welcome back in. You're hearing the voice of Ariel Onstadt. I'm a host here at Fox 5 Atlanta, and we're taking a live look at the airport, Atlanta's airport, where the FAA has just issued a ground stop. Now, this means flights cannot come into Atlanta's airport right now. We're continuing to monitor this situation, but the FAA has issued that ground stop due to equipment outages, and it's going to last until noon, so no flights can come into Atlanta's airport. This is part of the extension of issues ongoing at Newark's International Airport in Newark, New Jersey. The FAA says due to staffing issues, it is not safe to allow flights to enter Atlanta's airport. So that is why that ground stop has been issued. We're currently experiencing delays averaging about 2 hours and 32 minutes as a result of this. Check with your airline if you are traveling on this Mother's Day to see if your flight is affected. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn any new information. Arrival traffic at the airport is experiencing airborne delays of 15 minutes or less. So again, if you're taking off from Atlanta's airport, this does not seem to be as great an issue. But if you are trying to land at Atlanta's airport, maybe for Mother's Day, you are going to face delays. So just keep that in mind. We'll continue to keep you updated. Lee, do we want to get out? Do we have our Caitlin Pratt standing by? Let's see if she is able to hear me. Caitlin, are you able to hear me right now?
Hey, Ariel, just popping up here quickly. I hope you can hear me. I don't have my mic correctly set up. But yeah, I'm here at the Departures Arrivals Board and looking to see what the situation is. Just checking in with the desk here. They have not heard of any sort of situation, but of course they've called into their managers at this point. FAA, of course, issuing that warning, that issuance, and we received it through the wires. Any word?
So we're not on ground stop here in Atlanta. Other states are.
The other states are, okay. So we're good so far, ground stop, all right. So yeah, just checking in with officials here at Atlanta's airport, everything here running as it should be, just other airports across the country dealing with this, and of course, anyone flying in here going to be affected. Ariel, I'm going to try to get some more information, and hopefully we'll see you later on the stream at noon.
Caitlin, thank you so much for your flexibility. I know that this just was issued by the FAA, so they're probably trying to get some information and maybe don't have everything put together just yet. So we'll bring it back here in studio and let Caitlin go try to catch up with airport officials. Again, this was issued just about 20 to 30 minutes ago by the FAA. Looks like around 11:17 this morning or so. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that. For now, guys, switching gears, I want to keep you updated on an I-Team investigative story our incredible team did regarding a 10-year-old boy who almost died in his adoptive family's care. I-Team investigative reporter Johnny Edwards looked into this story, and he shares it with us now. Let's go to that.
Spalding County DA told me this came very close to being a death case. Another question, should it ever have been an adoption case? As both school personnel and a foster care agency that had worked with the Shinleys say they told state DFACS these parents didn't want that little boy.
It's okay. You all right?
In this police body cam video, take a look at the boy sitting on the ground. He's 10 years old, weighs 37 pounds, and authorities say just escaped a house of horrors.
What's going on? You don't want to be there?
With his own parents trying to kill him, his adoptive parents.
It was child torture. They beat him, they starved him.
Last week, Krista and Tyler Shinley opted to cut their criminal trial short, pleading guilty to all charges, including cruelty to children, false imprisonment, and attempted murder. The judge sentencing both parents to 40 years in prison plus 20 years on probation. Just before the sentencing, some testimony that raised even more questions about already unthinkable crimes.
We recommended against the adoption to the state.
In 2020, 3 years before the boy's escape in 2023, the Shinleys had adopted the boy and his 4 younger siblings, who were 2 sets of twins. A Henry County school counselor told the court before sentencing she didn't think the Shinleys should be allowed to adopt the boy, and she told that to the State Division of Family and Children's Services, which oversaw the adoption.
Did you express concerns about his adoption to DFACS? Yes, numerous times.
What alarmed her? The boy coming to school with only scraps for lunch, forbidden to eat school lunch. And this.
Ms. Shinley expressed she only wanted the kids, the sisters, the twins, and he was being forced on her.
But even more extraordinary, the faith-based foster care agency that recruited the Shinleys and paired them up with the children says it also told DFACS the Shinleys weren't fit to adopt any children.
There were some concerns from the child that maybe he didn't feel safe.
Families for Families contracts with the state to recruit and support foster families. But Director Wayne Noggle said the agency walked away from the adoption, pulling the family's foster home license.
We got to a place as an agency that we did not feel that we could continue to support the adoption anymore. The state basically just reopened the home underneath their name, and then we were completely out of the case.
What came out in court begs the question: how were the Shinleys allowed to adopt the boy, or any of the children for that matter? It's hard to say because adoption records are sealed. We tried talking to DFACS about this case, but the agency wouldn't comment, citing state and federal privacy laws. DFACS also confirming no employee faces disciplinary action over this case. Guess who else couldn't access adoption or early DFACS records? The district attorney who put the Shinleys away.
Do you know if the judge who signed off on the adoption was aware of any of this?
It's sealed, so we don't know. That's something we tried to look into, but it's sealed.
Marie Broder and Chief Assistant DA Catherine Leonard said they're aware of 3 DFACS investigations, all involving food, and all apparently declared unfounded by DFACS. They also learned about the horrors the boy endured. Kept locked in his room, the windows screwed shut and covered with film. Fed rotten vegetables. Forced to eat outside. Forced to take ice-cold baths. Struck with a belt. His own biological siblings, who were 3 and 4 years younger, encouraged to take part in abuse with the parents.
There was one incident that the children recounted that they threw a hot dog in the pool, and so he was fighting, drowning to try to get to that hot dog, and they all stood by the pool laughing at him.
Noggle told us what probably drove the adoption going forward, despite the red flags: a shortage of foster families, and DFACS wanting to keep the siblings together.
And I think this ought to be a wake-up call to our churches and to our communities, that instead of pointing the fingers when these things happen, we ought to be looking, saying, what can we do to help? How good would it be that if one family came up and there was a concern about the family adopting, and the state had 5 other people that wanted to adopt 5 kids?
The DA told me the child finally escaped through a gate and a privacy fence, which another child apparently had not fully locked. The DA called it sheer will to live. A neighbor found him wandering the street barefoot, looking for food. At the live desk, Johnny Edwards, Fox 5 News.
A heartbreaking story, and I caught up with Johnny Edwards about his investigation, what to expect, and how he was able to put these pieces together and some of the challenges he faced. We're going to listen to that conversation in just 2 minutes. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. incredible work. I want for our viewers, as we start this, we're going to have a discussion with Johnny about the story. I'm Ariel Onstadt, Johnny Edwards. So we have you here with us, and it's just a pleasure to be able to discuss your story in greater format like this. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There are so many factors of this story that I think any person watching it would feel rightfully upset and angry at the situation in the system. As you were working through this, how did you navigate that to find out the truth and to figure out, hey, how do I tell this?
Well, much of what we have on this case came from either police early in the case or what came out in court last week or talking in interviews with people that will agree to interviews. I mean, what we really want to see is in some records that under state law and federal law are just locked down. We don't know how the Shinleys were able to adopt this boy that they've horrifically admitted to abusing or his siblings. That would be in DFACS files, it would be in the adoption file, which is sealed. Even the prosecutor who prosecuted the Shinleys and has put them away for 40 years, she couldn't get these records. So it's a real mystery. I mean, this is a story about what we know and also about what we don't know.
I feel like so many investigations go just like that, right? For every question you answer, there are probably 5 that pop up that you want to answer. And so for those of you who are just joining our stream, or maybe you're just tuning in at this point, Johnny, can you give us an overview of that trial and what unfolded with Tyler and Krista Shindley and why this case was even brought in the first place?
Well, it sounds like, from what I can gather, the trial started with the defense saying that in the opening statements that they were overwhelmed, they wanted help, but they couldn't get help. But then when the state began their case and started showing all the things that were done to this little boy and the people testifying of all the early warning signs they had seen, and it just became so just gut-wrenching and horrific. I think they decided to go ahead and plea, and they pled guilty to all the charges, including attempted murder. And, we saw in the sentencing, the judge just had absolutely no mercy. He told them he wishes he could do to them what they did to the victim, and he really threw the book at them. I mean, now they were facing a lot more than 40 years. I think they were facing perhaps a few hundred years, if you stack all the charges together. But 40 years is a lot, and I asked the district attorney why, if she could tell me, why do you think they decided to just cut the trial short and plead guilty? And she said because, in her words, that they are narcissistic and did not want these details out and were trying to preserve their image, and that when they saw how much media interest there was in this and that the whole world was watching, they decided to just cut it off.
Johnny, I want to kind of talk through a little bit about the details of those cases. So for those of you watching, a trigger warning for child abuse and some of the things we're about to discuss, because it is difficult. So when we watched that trial and when we talked through some of the things in your story, I think one of the things that struck me more than anything is the fact that this is 2 sets of twins that were adopted to this family. So he has his own biological siblings that are taking part in some of this abuse against him. These adoptive parents are able to coordinate this effort, and you see starvation. You see him being beaten. Why was he singled out from his other siblings? Do we know?
I asked the prosecutors that, and they said the reason was because he was not perfect, that they demanded perfection. Yes, there were 2 sets of twins. There were his younger siblings. They were biological siblings. I'm not sure if they were full siblings or there might have been some half mixed in there, but there was 2 that were, I think, 4 years younger than him, and then 2 that were a few years younger, 3 years younger. One of those sets of twins had a boy. The others were all girls. And the allegation was coming from the school personnel and other people in the know, including the foster care agency that worked with them. They were saying that the parents wanted the twins, but didn't want him. And it's very strange because my understanding is that he came to the house first, but I think they kind of came in shifts, a few weeks apart. So there really was just a gang up, and we've seen this in other cases too over the years in other places in the country. He was locked in his room. He was. They took the knobs off the hot water in the bathroom, so he had to take cold baths, bathe in the freezing cold water. They had the windows covered and screwed shut. The door, like I said, locked from the outside. I mean, one of the most haunting things I heard about this was that they had a doggy pee pad in the room. And I asked why. What's the point of that? They said it was to humiliate him. I mean, the dogs actually had a better life. They had nice beds with toys and free run of the house. So, yeah, it was. And one of the stories they told about how, you know, it sounds like there was some indoctrination of the other kids to try to get them to take part in the abuse, the psychological torture. I assume that would make them somehow party to it. Like, for example, in one case, apparently there was a pool, and they threw a hot dog in the pool, and the little boy jumped in after it because he was hungry, but he didn't know how to swim. And so he was flailing and drowning and going around, but still trying to get to the hot dog. And they were all, you know, according to the DA, they were all laughing at him, the kids and the parents. Yeah. So, but you have to take that in context with what they say the motive was here. I mean, one of the charges was attempted murder. Mm-hmm. The state alleges that they very seriously intended to kill him, that they wanted to erase him from existence, and that they didn't get to this far on the trial, but they were planning to introduce evidence that the parents were going to move to Ohio. So the idea being they, you know, just sort of erase him from existence. These kids were not in school at the time. They even told me that the neighbors didn't even know there was this other son in the house. So the people right living nearby didn't even know that he existed.
And that's what's so incredible. When he was able to escape from this situation, he was able to, in his malnourished state, get out through a locked fence.
Right. There was a privacy fence with a gate, and he'd been left home alone. And apparently, understanding is that one of the children was supposed to lock that and might not have locked it all the way. And he, even in his weakened state, he was reportedly very close to death. He managed to somehow get on top of something and get over the fence and manipulate that lock to get it open. And then he was able to get out, and then he reached a neighbor who found him, and police were called, and the case unraveled, or the case laid out from there.
Right. And I think one of the, also just seeing the visible evidences of the abuse from the standpoint of, you have what is a 10-year-old boy, but you hear testimony of them describing him looking more like 6 years old because of how underweight he is. Just horrific. This played out. He was adopted, him and his siblings, in what, 2020?
2020.
And he escapes in 2023?
Right.
So it plays out over 3 years. How do we, looking at this situation, you have a foster organization like Families for Families that's advocating on these children's behalf and saying, you know, hey, I don't think that they should go to the Shinleys. I don't think that this family should have these children or should adopt them. But we see that this happens anyway. How does that happen in this situation?
Well, it happened because these defects complaints that were going to the state's child welfare agency were being ruled unfounded. I think one example I heard about in my interviews was that there was a complaint that he'd gone to school without food, with an empty lunchbox, but it turned out in the investigation he'd eaten his lunch on the bus on the way to school. So that's just one that I know of. I don't really know the content, and I can't verify that, but that's just what I was told. So, so DFACS had apparently done investigations of the DA's office.
And real quick, for those who are unaware, DFACS is Department of Family and Children's Services.
Right. Yeah, that's they're under the Department of Human Services. They're the state's child welfare agency. They deal with things like adoption, foster children, and abuse complaints, and but there was the DA's office said they know of 3 complaints at least that were all unfounded. Now, Families for Families had recruited the Shinleys through their church to be foster parents, and they were, you know, they're a group that contracts with the state to provide support for foster families. And the director and the founder of Families for Families, Wayne Noggle, told me in an interview that the boy had said something about not feeling safe. And I think they were observing the same thing that the school was observing, that the parents seemed to want the twins and not him, that there was just this lack of bond. You know, so what they did was according to Wayne Noggle, they told the state, DFACS, that this adoption should not go through, that they should not adopt any kids. And the way they did that was by pulling their foster care license, because Families for Families issues these licenses as a contractor for the state.
I see.
So they pulled the foster care license and said, we're getting out of this, we're not going to support this adoption. And then according to Wayne Noggle, DFACS then took over and made it a DFACS adoption case, and the process carried through, and it was presumably signed off by a Superior Court judge.
So In your investigation, what were some of the major challenges you ran into? I'd imagine in many investigations there's records and things you want to see, like, hey, who's the judge in this case? How did this unfold? What were some of the big challenges that presented as you investigated this?
Well, we know who the judge was. He's now retired. We reached out and didn't hear back. But as you indicated, it's the records we can't see. It's not being able to get to the bottom of this or at least get some clarification, some enlightenment on what exactly happened here. Now, under the law, if a child dies, and this child was under DFACS care or under DFACS supervision within a certain number of years, then that would be an open record and we would be able to get it. That's how we've gotten case records in the Treasurer McWay death case and some other cases. We've worked the Syra Barrows case from Gwinnett County. But I'm glad it's not a death case. I'm glad in a way we can't get those records. I would not like to have seen it go a different way, but it's a real question that's asked a lot by open government advocates and media. Like, does this record closure protect the children, or does it protect the system?
Yeah.
And here, it's not a hard one here because no one's trying to identify these children.
Right. What questions do you still have after an investigation like this? What questions do you still have about this story that you weren't able to answer?
I would like to know if the judge who signed off on the adoption of this boy and his siblings was aware of these complaints from the school, if they were aware that the foster care agency that set this up had actually pulled out and said, no, that's a terrible idea. I'd like to know who else was involved. Was there a guardian ad litem? Were there other attorneys involved in this decision? And in fairness, what factors did they have? What did they have in front of them that led them to think this was a good idea? Now, Wayne Nagel's, feeling is that a big contributor is there's a lack of foster families, a lack of adoptive families. There's a real shortage. It's not like there's just people all over the place clamoring to take in kids, especially 5 siblings that they're trying to keep together.
It's so hard when you're trying to keep a family together, and I think that was one aspect of your story that really did touch me, was just hearing Wayne Nagel talk about this idea of, we can point fingers all day, but at the end of the day, it takes us stepping up and saying, hey, how do we be a part of the change? COVID-19 wreaked havoc on so many foster families. Things are not the same that they used to be, and we need more. There's a shortage, and having more families that are willing to help be a part of that change, take kids in and raise up a future generation, that's priceless. To have a child have a good family and have something that they did not have previously.
And you hit the nail on the head, and that's the challenge. I mean, he said that, he said in hindsight, if he'd had other options of where to put these kids, if he'd had other families lined up that were willing and able to take 5 siblings like that, he might have pushed a little harder with the state to not allow this adoption.
Yeah.
He said, that's one thing in hindsight, but he said, if any good can come of this, it would be for church communities or any communities to, if you're able to step up and take part, even if you don't want to adopt or foster kids, support some way. You could donate clothes or give money or donate your time in some way. So, that's something to think about.
Something that small things, what we can do to impact our community. Johnny, thank you so much for being here, sharing details and kind of a behind-the-scenes look at the investigation. I hope we can keep doing more of this.
Absolutely.
If you guys have any investigations that you'd like Johnny to take a look at, maybe something you have noticed that you think doesn't sit right. Also, maybe you have questions still about a story like this. How can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can email me at john.edwards@fox.com, or you can reach out to the I-Team at iteamatlanta@fox.com. And if you know anything about this case or cases like it or anything at all that you think might be an I-Team story, please reach out.
Johnny, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for streaming with us. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll have more content for you after this. Welcome in. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for streaming with us on your Sunday morning. If you have travel plans either into or out of Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, you may be facing some delays, especially if you are coming into the airport, as the FAA has issued a ground stop that has just now been extended until 12:30. So our very own Caitlin Pratt is out at the airport, and we want to get out to her for a live look at what is happening at the airport. Caitlin, can you hear me? Caitlin, can you hear me? Okay, we're going to get back to Caitlin in just a little bit. Let me go through the information for you guys as we know it right now. So we know that around just about 30 to 40 minutes ago, the FAA issued that ground stop due to an equipment outage, and they wanted to obtain, or rather uphold, the highest levels of safety. So because of this equipment outage, they have extended that ground stop until 12:30 this afternoon. Initially, it was just 12. And what this means, according to a statement released by the FAA, they are slowing some flights into Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. Now, we know that flights are still able to take off from the airport, but at this time, flights are not able to land. So just about 15 minutes ago, there were roughly 200 delays, but now I'm looking at FlightAware's website and I see 300 delays total at Hartsfield-Jackson as of right now. Right now, we're looking at under 10 cancellations, according to FlightAware. So right now, cancellations do not seem to be the issue. The larger issue are those delays as we look at that ground stop. Now, when we look at what the FAA has to say, they also say that this is due to a runway equipment issue and that technicians are working to address the problem. We can find more. We'll continue to keep you updated, but if you're wanting to monitor this situation yourself, you can, of course, always go to the FAA's website. So let us bring back up, I'm not sure if Caitlin is able to hear us, but we're going to go check back in with her in just a little bit to see what the airport is looking like. For now, if you are getting about your Mother's Day Sunday and looking for some plans, looking for something to do, there is a break in the rain this morning. So let's get to our Eli Jordan, who is out at Chastain Park Arts Fest. Eli, how are you? I know the festival started about an hour ago. How are things going?
I can hear you. Yes, things are going great. Opened up about an hour ago here at Chastain Park. Their 17th annual fest. They got about 175 vendors here. And the rain is not supposed to kick in until about like 5 p.m. later today when I was looking at my little forecast on my phone. And then there's all sorts of things you can get here. Here's King Wayne. She's got some real beautiful art. That's going real peaceful and nice. I like the blues too, and the sailboats. Makes me just want to sail. All right, so here's some nice art. The Gordon family, the kiddos made this. Hello, these kids made these bracelets here. This is really, 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 really cool. Really cool bracelets. They're out here sailing, hoping the rain will hold off. And these would make some nice Mother's Day gift ideas. And good job. Good job. That looks good. And then we got vinyl records over here. We got all sorts of good vinyl records. Brian with a Y is selling them. So it's nice to have those vinyl records, but this is one of my favorites right here.
All right.
We got like succulents. This is probably like one of the better ideas. You know, if you don't know what to get your mom for Mother's Day, maybe this will be the spot for you. We got all these succulent plants, and they're already potted, and they're all well taken care of, and they are just freaking beautiful. And Kevin over here. Hello, Kevin.
Hello. Good day to you.
Good day to you. And so, tell me, I mean, these are yours. Did you grow all these?
I'm very pleased to say I did grow all of them. I have a greenhouse in North Georgia. It's 2,000 square feet. These are all different forms of desert succulents and various colors and various textures. And I just have a lot of fun with them. This is my 10th year and it keeps evolving. I am so fortunate to find a lot of special vintage, one-of-a-kind containers and art school projects that I use as vessels to actually plant them in to create the whole final artwork for everybody to enjoy.
And so tell me, the weather, it seems like, you know, a lot of people have to protect their art and their crafts from the weather, but these are fairly weather durable, aren't they?
I am very fortunate that I don't have to worry about the rain with them. They, of course, appreciate all the rain, and I'm just very fortunate to be out here for everybody to enjoy these, and such a wonderful event, and so many people, despite the rain, we're very fortunate to have showed up actually for the event, and all the positive energy has been absolutely amazing, so amazing.
I mean, this would make for a good Mother's Day present if you kind of forgot last-minute Mother's Day gift idea, right?
Oh, absolutely. And they're all low maintenance. There's something that's going to last on average. All of my desert succulents will last about 10, 15 years.
Awesome.
Awesome
so you
indeed.
heard it here from Kevin. He's down here at the Chastain Park Arts Festival, the 17th annual Arts Festival, and he's got succulents here for you to buy. He'll put them up in your window or give them to mom. Succulents are really cool. I like succulents. You know, cactuses are succulents. You know, spiny cactuses are cool. But this is a nice booth. I like it. I like the green too. But so yeah, we're out here at the Chastain Park Art Festival. 175 booths. We got all sorts of stuff out here for you to see and check out. It's really cool. The rain is holding off. Lots of people here. Just opened up about an hour ago. You got till 5 o'clock to see it.
Okay.
And,
Did I look live for
money,
live TV?
Pull out your wallet, eat some food. And you might want to have your raincoat handy, but you don't need it right now, not at all. But maybe you and mom can come out and hang out down here, or you and the kids can come down here and grab mom a quick present real quick and get back there.
That I'm trying to represent all of us because we're the vendor community,
or
and
maybe everybody can come out here and hang out.
I've never been self-centered. I try
like
to
many
think
people
of everybody involved.
And then,
so
it's not an all-day thing.
I think we
Goes on till
both.
5.
He did, and I did good.
So maybe come out here, hit this, grab
but
some gifts.
You never see yourself as others see, so that's why I value your opinion. So that's why I wanted to ask. So.
Thanks, Eli. It looks great out there. I love all the vendors. Thanks for giving us a walk and a look around.
Thank you.
Again, festival goes until 5 this afternoon, not washed out, so if you want to get out and
Look
enjoy
at what
it, you
have
can.
found.
Thank you so much. All right, well, let's bring it back here. We have Alex Forbes, in-house meteorologist, to give us the tea on the weather situation. Alex, what's brewing?
Lots of tea, lots of liquid across north and central Georgia. So here's the deal. This morning, it was not a nice morning. Let's just put it bluntly.
Sure.
We had the fog, we had the low cloud cover, we had cool temperatures. It was more like an early March morning than it was mid-May, much less Mother's Day morning across the area. Now, we are trying to trend wetter and wetter through the day. And in fact, if you're in Polk County, you're in Paulding County, Carroll County, parts of those areas, you're already on that train, seeing some showers right now on Fox 5 Live Viper. So here's what we're looking at. First, let me take you down. This is going to be on the east side, or excuse me, the west side of the city. This is going to be Polk County up towards Haralson County. Heads up Rockmart. You got a shower headed your way here in the next few minutes. And then let me take you down in towards Eatonton, really Baldwin County, getting it towards the Eatonton area. Notice that. Past couple of minutes, we've seen some showers and storms fire up in parts of Baldwin County. That's going to be moving into Milledgeville, Lake St. Clair. Maybe you were trying to take mom out on the boat for Mother's Day. Well, if you do that, you might be running into some showers as well. Look at this, a big old mess. I was teasing it this morning down along the Gulf Coast. That's going to be making its way up towards the Metro Atlanta area. It is going to produce some storms between where it is now and Metro Atlanta, but I do not expect the storms to make it into the city later on this evening. And here's why. Our air is so stable right now. We've got that northeasterly breeze, we've got the cooler stuff around, and we've got that cloud cover. We don't have warm temperatures. We don't have sunshine to destabilize things. So I really am not that concerned about a storm threat today, but we are going to be watching that rain through the afternoon and evening hours. So if you had outdoor dinner plans for mom, well, bring an umbrella and an arc. All right, so here we go. This is the hour-by-hour forecast now. Look at that. Looks kind of menacing down to the south in terms of that storm risk by about 3 o'clock, but it runs into our stable air mass, and notice how it breaks apart the storms, that is. I would expect more heavy rain than storms in this instance at 6 o'clock.
We love the atmosphere when it does things.
We do. Yep, that's why I get paid. And now, speaking of the atmosphere doing things, I think we might be doing some things we don't like tomorrow morning.
This is very, very true.
So potentially 2 waves of some strong storms tomorrow.
Morning and afternoon?
Morning and afternoon. We'll say the first one from about 4-ish to 11 a.m. That's going to be what you see here. Watching maybe a spin-up tornado risk with that. Nothing crazy.
Okay.
Could go the entire day without seeing anything, right? But that risk is not zero. And then into the afternoon, you see more rounds of storms here in the metro area.
Damaging winds, the primary concern.
For the afternoon,
Okay.
yes. Look, here's the deal in the morning. I would be... I hate to use the word concerned, right? Because it has such a negative connotation to it. I am watching for more of a tornado threat, even though it's low during the morning hours, than I am in the afternoon.
Got it.
I'm watching for more of a damaging wind and hail threat for the afternoon here in the metro area. So 90% chance of storms tomorrow. By the time we get to Tuesday, that's down to 60%. By the time we get to Wednesday, that's down to 20%. So we're doing the big old U-turn. I'm very familiar with that here in Georgia. Look at Thursday and Friday. High temperatures up in the upper 80s. Would not surprise me at all to see some highs in the 90s before all is said and done.
Alex, thank you so much. We'll continue to stay tuned to you and definitely will monitor the situation tomorrow. Alex and I were just talking about things happening today and the weather, how it's affected things. And typically the weather would affect the airport, right? But today it is actually equipment outages affecting the airport. So I do just want to give you a heads up that if you are coming into Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, maybe for Mother's Day or whatever other plans, you will not be able to land until at least past 12:30 this afternoon. The FAA has extended a ground stop. We have been taking you throughout the morning to give you a live look at the airport, and I want to see if we can bring in our airport camera and see if we can look at it there. We know that the FAA temporarily slowed arrivals into Hartsfield-Jackson due to a runway equipment issue, and you are taking a live look at the airport now. You can see that just a bit ago we saw some flights taking off, but flights are not able to land at this time. So we'll continue to keep you updated. You're seeing a flight take off in real time just there. Take into the air, and the FAA says that they may update this advisory again this afternoon. So stay tuned. We'll let you know if this does get extended. But as of right now, we know that the FAA has issued a ground stop, so flights to Atlanta are not able to land. If you are tracking this, there are also more than 300 delays to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, and we know that there are roughly under 10 cancellations at this point, so delays are the main concern this morning. If you are headed out, Atlanta FlightAware is showing that Atlanta's misery map is definitely tracking delays throughout the morning. So I'm taking a look at that now. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn any new information on this. For now, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll continue to keep you updated as things progress. Welcome into Casting Call. I'm Ariel Onstad here with Tess Hammock.
Hello.
Tess, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm excited. Another week, another great round of castings, which we love to see.
It's always great.
So one of our first opportunities is an unnamed Tyler Perry Studios production, which the man does incredible films and shows.
Listen,
so
no one